Hello and welcome. Okay, let me begin by asking a couple of questions. Are you struggling to figure out which OSHA, EPA, or state environmental regulations apply to your company, let alone how to understand, implement, and manage them? Are you sick of worrying and wondering about what might happen next if you don't get it figured out soon? If any or all this sounds familiar, then don't feel bad because you're definitely not alone. And congratulations because you've come to the right place. Because this website was created to help people just like you to finally solve all of these compliance challenges so you can stop worrying about it and get back to focusing on running and growing your business. Let's face it, these EHS regulations are complicated, they're hard to understand, and even tougher to comply with, especially for small companies who almost always lack the critical expertise, time, and resources that are needed to keep up. And to make matters worse, you've probably heard some of the horror stories that can happen if you don't keep up, like huge regulatory fines and penalties, serious employee injuries, PR nightmares, and even serious legal problems if things go wrong. And by the way, it's all true. And unfortunately, I've seen these things happen to many people and small companies I've known throughout my career, including my own companies, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But here's the good news. There are actually proven steps that any small company can take to not only achieve and manage compliance, but also reduce these terrible risks. And you can do it all without breaking the bank. Stick around for a couple of minutes so I can tell you more about how this website can help your company to actually achieve these goals and make it happen. Hello, my name is Russell Carr, and I'm also a small business owner and entrepreneur, and I have lived through many of the same compliance challenges that you're probably facing today. You see, during my career, I founded 3 small companies with major EHS compliance obligations and risks. Between the 3 companies, I actually had to answer to 6 different regulatory agencies: OSHA, EPA, TCEQ, USDOT, TxDOT, and Texas Railroad Commission. It was overwhelming, it drove me crazy, and I always struggled to keep up. And it wasn't for lack of effort. I always tried to get ahead of it, but it was so complicated, and there never seemed to be enough time in the day, especially while trying to run a profitable business. Does that sound familiar? And to make matters worse, in full disclosure, those struggles led to all kinds of problems for me and my companies, including getting cited by OSHA and TCEQ, lost business opportunities, skyrocketing insurance costs, and unfortunately more. And in addition to my own struggles, I've seen some really bad things happen to other small companies and good people that I've known throughout my career as a direct result of failing to manage EHS compliance. This included huge fines and penalties, PR nightmares, public embarrassment, wasted money, even civil lawsuits, and I even saw one client get sent to jail, and the owner of a competitor who I knew personally lose his multi-million-dollar energy services company after a single employee injury. It's all true, and I write about many of these situations in the cautionary tale sections of this website, which I strongly recommend that you check out so it doesn't happen to you too. So why am I telling you all of this? Actually, there are 3 reasons. First of all, I've been there and I've done that, and I've walked in your shoes when it comes to trying to manage these regulations as a small business owner. I know how hard it is and what it feels like to pay the price for failing to keep up. And secondly, I'm here to tell you that these terrible things can actually happen to your company too if you fail to take action. It happens every single day to small companies across the country. I've seen it happen too many times. And finally, to let you know that these combined experiences later led me down a new career path with an entirely new mission, which is to help other small business owners and small companies like yours to manage these complicated regulations and avoid all these related risks and liabilities that I've been talking about. Which brings me back to the point of this website, which I created to help support this mission. It's filled with all kinds of fantastic, free, no obligation educational resources that are designed to help non-experts to better understand these complicated regulations so they can actually take action to achieve compliance and reduce risk. This includes free guides, reports, surveys, webinars, and videos, as well as more information about my own struggles and lessons learned while trying to manage compliance with my companies, which I can believe can really help you to avoid many of the most common mistakes made by small companies when trying to manage compliance. You can find all these on the homepage of this website right above this video. By the way, I didn't hire some marketing agency or researcher to create all these great resources. I actually built each of them myself, and they're all based on my own experiences and again are written in a way that non-experts can easily understand. There are too many to describe here, so what I've done is create a top 10 resource list where I list and briefly describe each of them. They're all great resources for any small business who is serious about achieving compliance and reducing risk. And you can find the list by going to the menu at the top of this page and click on the top 10 compliance resources. So now I'll begin to wrap up by describing the 2 resources which most people end up taking advantage of and which I believe will offer the most benefit and which I highly recommend that you check out now. The number 1 resource by far is my free report, The 5 Most Dangerous EHS Compliance Risks Facing Small Companies and How to Manage Them and Protect Your Business. This report was actually the catalyst that inspired me down this new career path that I mentioned a few minutes ago. After learning firsthand how tough it is for small companies to manage compliance and all the terrible things that can happen as a result, I decided to conduct some research into these issues and what can be done about the problem. It ended up turning into a very intensive 6-month research project, and the findings were very surprising and inspired me to create this report to help educate small companies about these risks and, more importantly, how to manage and reduce them. Here's what you'll learn. It covers the 5 most dangerous EHS compliance risks that small companies like yours face when failing to manage these regulations. But then it talks about the 7 keys to managing compliance, which every company needs to know about. And then it ends off by talking about all the major benefits of doing so, like reducing your risk of huge fines and jail time, and how achieving compliance can actually protect and grow your company in all sorts of ways that you probably never thought about before. In other words, I learned that achieving and managing compliance can actually be one of the smartest investments that any small company can make, but only if they want to sustain, grow, and prosper over time. It's a lesson that all the big U.S. companies like GE, Ford, and many others learned a long time ago. And that's why they invest so heavily in compliance and put safety first. But what I learned is that small companies can do it too without breaking the bank. So I've shared this report with many small companies just like yours over the years, and it's always been very well received and always sparks great conversation and action. I promise it'll be worth your time. By the way, the report actually provided the underlying business case and inspiration for me to found a brand new company several years ago called Berg Compliance Solutions, which is a consulting company dedicated to helping small businesses manage EHS compliance and risk. Click on the button to the right of this video to get the report now, or if you want to learn more about it, wait until this video ends and then another one will play which talks more about the free report. And the other great resource is more interactive, where we can actually begin working together to help your company to achieve compliance and reduce risk. And it's my free snapshot risk assessment where I spend 30 to 60 minutes on the phone or at your company with you and your team to learn more about your business, which allows me to tell you which regulations apply to your operations so you can stop wondering about that. I'll estimate your current risk level and, more importantly, explain how your company can begin to take steps to achieve compliance and reduce risk. I've done this assessment for many small companies with great results and would love to do it for yours too. Just click on the button to the right and we'll get it scheduled. Again, most people end up taking advantage of either one or both of these great offers, so go ahead and pick one and let's get started on your road towards compliance and peace of mind today. Thanks for watching and let's talk soon.